All right, so NVIDIA, AI king, or are we looking at a tech bubble ready to pop?
Good question.
That's what we're going to deep dive into today.
Okay.
We've got some really solid analysis here from Morningstar.
Awesome.
Their analyst notes, their take on NVIDIA's business strategy,
Oh,
even all the risks and opportunities they see down the road.
love it.
By the end of this, you'll have a clear picture of what's driving NVIDIA's growth
Okay.
and what could potentially trip them up.
Sounds good. What really stands out to me is just how much this AI hype is fueling everything.
Yeah.
But can they turn that into, actual sustainable profits?
Well, that's what we're here to uncover.
Yeah.
So NVIDIA, they just released their Q3 earnings.
Okay.
And once again, they crushed expectations.
Wow.
$35.1 billion in revenue.
Okay.
That's a 94% jump from last year.
Oh, wow.
This is their sixth straight quarter of exceeding guidance by at least $2 billion.
That's impressive.
But here's the thing, the stock actually dipped after hours.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. It's like the market just set this crazy high bar for them.
Yeah.
Even with a massive win like that, investors were hoping for even more,
Right.
especially with that, sky-high valuation.
Yeah. So it's almost like it's not just did they beat expectations.
Yeah.
It's did they beat them by enough to justify that stock price.
Yeah, exactly.
And, looking ahead, their forecast for the January 2025 quarter,
Okay.
they're projecting $37.5 billion in revenue.
Okay.
So that's only about a 7% increase from this quarter.
Hmm.
That feels like a slowdown, doesn't it?
It does a little bit, yeah. That's probably why some people are worried.
Yeah.
But, Morningstar's analysis suggests it might be more of a supply issue than anything else.
Okay.
It seems like they're selling every single thing they can make as fast as they can make it.
So it's not that people aren't buying, it's that they can't build them fast enough.
Yeah, potentially.
Makes you wonder what's so special about these products that they're just flying off the shelves. I mean, what is it about their GPUs that's got everyone going crazy?
Well, their GPUs, the graphics processing units, they're designed specifically for this thing called parallel processing.
Okay.
So they can handle tons of calculations all at the same time.
Okay.
And that is essential for, both gaming and AI.
Got it. So they kind of had a head start in the gaming world, and that gave them an advantage in AI.
Yeah, exactly. But it's not just the hardware. It's their software platform too, CUDA.
Okay.
It's think of it as the operating system specifically built for AI development.
Oh, okay. So CUDA is like the foundation on which developers are building and training their AI models.
Yeah.
Okay, I got it. But why is that such a big deal? Couldn't somebody else just come along and create a better platform?
Well, in theory, yes.
Yeah.
But it's not quite that simple.
Uh-huh.
Once developers, get into that CUDA ecosystem,
Mm-hmm.
all their tools, all their models built on it, switching to something else, it would mean starting from scratch.
Right.
So it's a massive barrier. Like Apple with their iPhones, right? They have that whole ecosystem.
Exactly.
Hardware, software, everything works together. And that's hard to compete with.
It is. And that's a big part of the debate when you look at NVIDIA's future.
Okay, so bulls versus bears on NVIDIA.
Right.
What's making the bulls so excited about them?
Well, they're looking at NVIDIA's dominance, particularly with parallel processing and that CUDA platform.
Okay.
And they see that as a massive advantage in this exploding AI market.
Yeah.
It's like they're not just leading, they're expanding into these new areas like AI inference. We touched on that earlier.
Right.
And they've got their fingers in so many pies. Gaming, crypto, automotive, what's next.
Yeah.
It's almost like you're building this one-stop shop for all things AI.
Okay.
But the bears, they're not convinced.
Oh, really? What are they worried about?
Competition, mainly.
Okay, so who are the biggest threats?
Well, you got other chip makers trying to catch up.
Yeah.
But the real, I guess, wild cards are those tech giants. Google, Amazon, Microsoft.
They have the resources, they have the motivation to build their own chips specifically for their own needs.
That's a good point. If Google decides they don't need NVIDIA anymore, that's huge.
It is. And what about CUDA?
Yeah.
You think maybe open source could create a competitor?
It's possible.
Right.
Yeah, that'd be a game changer.
Yeah.
And plus, didn't you mention gaming GPUs have always been kind of up and down?
Yes, very cyclical.
What if AI demand goes the same way?
Yeah, it's a possibility.
Okay. So the bears are basically saying, hold on, don't get too comfy with NVIDIA on top. Things can change fast.
Yeah, they could. But, Morningstar, they still gave NVIDIA a wide moat rating.
Right, which's got to count for something.
It does. It means they see NVIDIA with this strong competitive advantage
Yeah.
that allows them to, stay profitable over the long haul.
Yeah.
And they're specifically calling out those switching costs we talked about with CUDA as a big factor.
Okay, so even if others can build similar hardware, it's going to be tough to pull developers away from what they've already built on CUDA.
It is.
Yeah, I get it. It's like trying to, I don't know, get everyone to ditch iPhones for Android overnight.
Exactly. Not going to happen.
Yeah.
And then there's this whole other battleground emerging.
Okay.
This rise of AI inference.
Oh, right. Remind me again, what's the difference between AI inference and training?
Yeah, so training is like that initial phase. You're feeding the model tons of data so it learns how to make decisions.
Okay.
Inference is where it actually gets put to work.
Right.
Using what it's learned to analyze new data, make decisions in real time.
So it's not just about building the AI brain. It's about putting that brain to work.
Exactly.
Okay, got it. But what does this have to do with NVIDIA specifically?
Well, there's this whole battle over which type of chip is best for inference.
Okay.
Traditional CPUs or NVIDIA's GPUs.
Ah, so this is like a whole new market opening up for them.
It is. It could really expand their reach. But let's be real, all this potential comes at a price.
Yeah, their market cap is in the trillions. Is that even justifiable?
That's the multi-trillion-dollar question.
Right. So Morningstar, they've assigned a fair value estimate of $130 per share.
Okay.
But to understand that number, we need to really break down their business.
Absolutely.
Where's the money coming from?
Right.
What are the profit drivers?
That's what we need to look at. And their data center business, it's booming.
Okay.
Explosive growth. But the question is, how sustainable is it?
Yeah, we've seen companies with, incredible growth that just fizzles out.
Yeah.
So what are the things to really keep an eye on there?
Well, Morningstar is projecting their data center revenue to hit a mind-blowing $130 billion in fiscal 2025.
$130 billion.
Yeah.
That's a 114% jump from where they are now.
It is.
114%. Are we in bubble territory here? Is that even realistic?
It's an aggressive projection. Right. There's a lot of debate about whether they can hit it.
Yeah.
It depends on, continued AI investment, the pace of technology, and of course, that competition we talked about.
Makes sense. And what about, their other parts of the business, like gaming, automotive?
Yeah.
Are they just riding the AI wave, or are they dealing with their own separate challenges?
Those are good questions. Yeah. While they're benefiting from the overall success, they definitely have their own things to consider.
Right.
Gaming, as we said, can be up and down.
Yeah.
And the automotive sector, that's super competitive.
It's a lot to keep track of. But Morningstar also gave NVIDIA a very high uncertainty rating.
They did.
What does that mean practically for someone thinking about investing?
So basically it means their future is full of possibilities, both good and bad.
Okay.
Huge potential upside, but there's also significant risk.
So like high risk, high reward.
Exactly. Let's dig into some of those risks a little deeper.
Okay, let's do it. What could go wrong? What are we talking about here?
Well, competition, that's the big one, as we said. But it's not just those other chip makers.
Right.
Remember the tech giants?
Oh, yeah.
They're the wild cards. Google, Amazon, Microsoft, they've got the resources, they've got the motivation to make their own chips tailored to their needs.
Right. So even if NVIDIA keeps innovating, these guys could become their biggest competitors.
It's possible. And what if the current demand for AI levels off?
Yeah.
Or a different software platform takes over?
Right.
CUDA's king now, but that could change.
And don't forget those cyclical businesses. What if the AI boom fades and they're stuck relying on things like gaming?
Yeah.
That would leave them vulnerable.
It would. So yeah, there's a lot of potential downsides, but also upsides.
Okay, so big risks, but on the flip side, Morningstar gave them an exemplary capital allocation rating?
They did.
That sounds like a good thing.
It's a great thing. It means Morningstar thinks NVIDIA's management is making smart decisions about how they use the company's resources.
So they're not just hoarding cash. They're investing it wisely to grow the business.
Exactly.
Okay, so what are some examples of that? What are they doing right?
Their R&D, their research and development, is a huge one.
Okay.
They're constantly putting money back into that.
Yeah.
Which keeps them ahead in this crazy, fast-moving industry.
So they're not getting complacent. They're pushing the boundaries of what's possible with AI.
Exactly.
Got it.
And that's what investors love to see.
Makes sense.
So their acquisitions are strategic.
Okay.
They've made a number of them over the years that have really strengthened them in these key markets.
Oh, like the Mellanox acquisition for networking.
Exactly.
Right. That was a good one.
That gave them a real solid position in the data center networking market.
Okay. So they're not just building their own tech. They're buying companies that help them grow.
Exactly.
Smart.
It is. But, not every acquisition has been a hit.
Right. The ARM deal fell apart.
It did.
Yeah.
They tried to buy ARM Holdings, but regulatory and competitive concerns, it just didn't work out.
It's a good reminder that even when you're doing things right, sometimes those big swings don't connect.
You're right.
Okay, this has been a lot to take in. So far, what are the big takeaways from this deep dive?
I think the biggest takeaway is NVIDIA is at a crossroads.
Okay.
They're doing great right now, but big challenges are coming.
Yeah.
Whether they can stay on top in the long run, we'll have to see.
So is NVIDIA worth the hype, or is it a risky bet?
Tough question. Depends on your risk tolerance and your goals as an investor.
Right.
Let me try to summarize what we've talked about so far.
Perfect. I think our listener would love to hear your expert opinion on all this.
On the one hand, their Q3 earnings were amazing.
Yeah.
They got that wide moat rating from Morningstar.
Right.
And their capital allocation, that's exemplary.
Okay.
They're definitely the leader in AI training. And they're making those smart moves to expand, like into AI inference.
Right. A lot to be optimistic about.
Yeah.
But you keep mentioning wide moat. Can you break that down a little bit?
Sure.
For someone who might not know what that means in inventing terms.
So a moat, it's all about a company's competitive advantage.
Okay.
That thing that protects their profits from rivals.
Good.
Think of it like a castle, right?
Yeah.
Big, deep moat around it, harder to attack.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah.
So what makes NVIDIA's moat so wide then?
Well, we talked about the switching costs with CUDA, right?
Right.
That software platform's become so ingrained in the AI world,
Yeah.
it's really hard for developers to switch even if someone else had similar hardware.
So they've built this fortress around their business.
Yeah,
But even fortresses have weaknesses.
true.
Morningstar gave them that very high uncertainty rating.
Mm-hmm.
What are some scenarios where, this seemingly unstoppable force could trip up?
One scenario, those tech giants we keep mentioning.
Okay.
Google, Amazon, Microsoft.
Right.
They decide to go all in on their own AI chips.
Yeah.
They got the resources, the brains.
Right.
They could make something that rivals NVIDIA.
Yeah. And if they're not buying NVIDIA's chips anymore, that's a big hit.
It is. And then there's the question of, is this AI demand really going to last?
Yeah.
What if the hype dies down?
Right.
Companies get a little scared, pull back on those investments.
The AI bubble bursts, and NVIDIA is left holding the bag.
Could happen. And then you always got to think about disruption.
Okay.
What if a new kind of chip comes out?
Yeah.
Something better suited for AI than GPUs.
Right.
Or a new software platform, more powerful, easier to use than CUDA.
Right. So even though NVIDIA is leading right now, they can't just sit back and relax.
No, they can't. They got to keep pushing, stay ahead of the game.
So lots of risks. But let's flip it. What's the best case scenario? What if everything goes right?
Best case, they keep doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
Stay ahead of the tech curve, navigate that competition.
Okay.
They could be the leader in AI.
Right.
Market cap, who knows how high it could go.
That's pretty exciting for investors, but
Yeah.
there's no guarantee, right?
No, not at all. Investing in a company like this, high growth, high risk, it's not for everyone.
Yeah, it's a roller coaster.
It is.
But big potential payoff if you can handle the ride.
That's the game with emerging tech.
Yeah.
You're betting on the future.
Right.
And who knows what that holds.
Okay, so final verdict time. Is NVIDIA a good investment?
If only it were that simple.
Right.
Really depends on you, your goals, how much risk you're comfortable with.
Sure.
And how you see all those factors we talked about.
So basically, do your research, weigh those risks and rewards, and decide if it's right for you.
Exactly.
Okay, good advice. We've covered a lot here, but let's talk about how NVIDIA manages its money.
Okay.
Because Morningstar gave them that exemplary rating for capital allocation.
Yeah.
What does that even mean? And why should our listener care?
Capital allocation, it's all about how a company uses its money.
Okay.
Exemplary means Morningstar thinks they're doing a fantastic job
Yeah.
investing in ways that really benefit those shareholders. Not just sitting on cash, not making dumb acquisitions.
Okay.
They're strategic, focused on growth and profit.
So give us some examples. How are they allocating their capital so well?
Their R&D is a perfect example.
Okay, yeah.
Always investing a big chunk of their revenue back into it.
Right.
And that's how they stay ahead in this like crazy fast-moving industry.
So they're not resting on their laurels.
Nope.
Constantly pushing the boundaries of AI.
Yes. And that's what investors want to see.
Makes sense. What else?
Strategic acquisitions, too.
Right.
They've bought some companies that have really given them an edge.
Like the Mellanox deal for networking.
Yeah, that's a great example.
Okay.
They got a strong position in that data center networking market.
Which is huge for them, right?
It is.
So they're not just building, they're buying smart to help them grow.
Exactly.
Smart strategy.
It is. But remember, not every acquisition works out perfectly.
Right. The ARM deal.
That one fell through. Regulatory issues, competition worries, it just didn't happen.
So sometimes those big swings just don't connect.
They don't.
But overall, it sounds like NVIDIA's management is making some pretty solid decisions.
Yeah, I'd agree.
And for investors, that's a good sign, right?
It is. Shows the company's being run strategically,
Yeah.
thinking about those shareholders. It is. It really shows that they're thinking long term.
Okay. So NVIDIA's management doing a lot right. But even with all that, they still have that very high uncertainty rating.
Yeah.
What are the things that could really make or break their future?
Competition. That's the big one. Like we said, other chip makers are coming for them.
Yeah.
And the tech giants, they could become major rivals.
Right.
If one of them really goes all in on their own AI chips,
Yeah.
that could take a big chunk out of NVIDIA's market share.
It's almost like David and Goliath, but with multiple Goliaths this time.
Exactly. And then there's that question of, is the AI demand going to keep going like this?
Yeah, that's a good point.
What if the hype fades?
Right.
Companies start to pull back on those investments.
That would hurt their growth for sure. What about technological disruption? Anything on the horizon that could knock NVIDIA off its AI throne?
There's always a chance a new type of chip comes out, right?
Yeah.
Something even better for AI than GPUs.
Okay.
Or maybe a new software platform more powerful than CUDA.
Yeah.
Easier to use.
Right, so they can't afford to get complacent, even though they're leading now?
No, definitely not. They got to keep innovating, pushing those boundaries.
Okay, so lots of potential risks, but let's talk rewards.
Right.
What's the absolute best case scenario for NVIDIA?
Best case, they keep doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
Stay ahead of the curve, handle that competition.
All right.
They could be the undisputed king of AI.
Wow.
Market cap could be. I mean, who knows?
It's a pretty exciting thought for investors,
Yeah.
but there's no guarantee, right?
Not at all. Investing in a company like this, it's not for the faint of heart.
Right. It's a roller coaster,
It is.
but big potential payoff if you can stomach the ride.
Exactly. That's what it's all about with these emerging technologies. You're betting on the future,
Right.
and no one knows what that holds.
All right, so final verdict time. Is NVIDIA a good investment?
You know, I wish there was a simple yes or no.
Right.
It really comes down to you, your goals, your risk tolerance,
Yeah.
and how you see all those factors we've talked about.
So do your research, weigh those risks and rewards, make an informed decision based on your situation.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
This has been a super interesting deep dive into NVIDIA,
It has.
the future of AI. We've talked about their earnings, the competition, their strategy, the risks, the rewards. It's a lot.
It is. And it's constantly changing, which makes it so fascinating.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We hope you enjoyed this deep dive.
Yeah, we did.
And as always, keep learning, keep researching.
Knowledge is power, especially when it comes to investing.
Very true. If you have any questions about NVIDIA or anything else you want us to deep dive into, drop a comment below.
We'd love to hear from you.
And don't forget to like, share, subscribe The Deep Dive for more explorations like this.
We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening.